This is Abby Johnson with WebProNews coming to you from Austin, Texas for South by Southwest. Joining me right now is our good friend Darren Rowse. How are you?
Yeah, well, thanks. It's good to see you again.
You too, and not at Blog World for once.
No, it's a bit different. It's
It
good.
is. But we are going to talk about blogging. You are here specifically talking about how people can blog their way into making a lot of money. So can you share a few of those tips with us?
Yeah, I guess the first thing I'd say is you've got to take a long-term view of it. A lot of people come into blogging thinking, I'm going to make a lot of money and it's going to be fast. I was just talking to a guy and he had to do a bit of a mind shift that he's going to be in this for a year or two before it really hits that kind of level. And even then, there's no guarantees. But really, it's about choosing a good niche and something that you're passionate about, but something that you also think can be profitable. And then just writing, constantly producing content around that and experimenting with different ways of engaging with people. Yeah.
Very good. Well, in this age of Twitter and Facebook, all this craze, let's talk about the effectiveness of a blog.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things I love about blogging is that it's not 140 characters. And I think in this age, a lot of people have swung to that sort of short text communication, but there's also a pendulum swing coming back to that longer form content. People are wanting more than that. Yet Twitter is actually really good at kind of getting that information out there, and a lot of what's happening on Twitter is sharing of links. So it's kind of an ideal world for a blogger. I think people want more, and you're able to give it to them through a viral communication like Twitter.
And interestingly enough, we just spoke with a representative from Google Blogger this morning, and they just released several new things, essentially making Blogger more social, a lot more templates, giving users a lot more options. So that's just another aspect, making it broader appeal.
Yeah, and what we're seeing now is the different mediums almost merging a little bit more. We're seeing bloggers featuring their tweets in their stream and vice versa. So and portals sort of producing all of that content. So it's an interesting time to see the worlds colliding, and video as well.
Well, you spoke earlier about finding your particular niche, and actually, like that's really hard for people to do, because I myself have thought about starting a blog, and I think what would I write about? I'm interested in this, but how do you basically break it down to know that is the right niche for you?
Yeah, so there'd be a number of questions I'd be asking you. What is your interest is a great place to start, because if you're going to be writing about something for 2 years, you need to be able to sustain that with something of interest and passion. People can tell if you're interested. Two, I'd say do some searches and do a bit of research on how many people are searching for that type of content. You can use a free tool like Google Trends to kind of watch whether people are searching more or less than other terms. Looking at how monetizable it is, whether there are people advertising. So again, you can just do a search on Google and see how many ads come up for it, and you'll see the type of people who want to advertise for those sorts of keywords. And is there enough content to write on that topic? A lot of people choose a very narrow niche and they run out of things to say after a few weeks, whereas if you choose something that there's always new news and developments in that niche, then you can sustain it for a long time. Yeah.
Well, there's also a strong commitment level to blogging. You put out posts all the time. What advice do you have for people? I mean, obviously, is it everyday approach or a few times a day? Is there really any particular grounds for that?
Look, there's no rule. I know bloggers who do once a week. I know bloggers who do less than that, and they're quite successful. I guess the thing you need to think about is every post you write is a doorway into your site. And so if you're only writing 52 posts a year, that's only 52 places that people can connect with you through Google or through Twitter. If you're writing 365, one a day, then you've exponentially increased the amount of places that people can find you. So yeah, it's partly about your time and your resources and what you've got to say, but it's also trying to get the quantity up a little bit as well if you can.
Well, that's a very good point that you brought up, especially like for businesses, that if they blogged every single day, think about the branding opportunities with that.
Yeah, exactly. I guess the other side of things is you want to be useful, and you want to actually say something unique every day.
Right.
And so that's part of that decision as well. Are you able to come up with something different to say to yesterday?
Exactly. Well, when we last spoke back in October, you and Chris Brogan and Brian Clark were just launching the Third Tribe.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Chris, Brian, Sonia Simone is the other partner. We started Third Tribe it's a couple of months ago we actually launched it, and it's really really a community site that's still developing, but we're trying to position it as a place for people who don't feel like they're internet marketers, who kind of get into the hype, but we're also trying to place ourselves between the social media crowd who often aren't profitable. So we actually think there's a middle ground where you can actually do internet marketing without being obnoxious, and yet use some of the other lessons from social media and SEO and different aspects. So yeah, there's 2,000 people have joined, and they come from all of those different tribes, and it's a really interesting, not clash, but just a collaboration of people. So yeah, it's been great so far.
Well, good, and best of luck with that. We know it will be wonderful. Thank you so much, Darren. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
This is Abby Johnson with WebProNews, coming to you from Austin for South by Southwest.